each other any chance they get. The fight clock is brought to you by Masvidal.
Game! World record, 5 seconds.
Oh, look. There's that fool Ben Askren. Oh, motherfucker.
It's UFC 239, folks.
Oh, Benny, okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Benny? No, you're not. You're concussed because you got struck by a smooth Masvidal. Oh, folks. Oh, man. Let's pour a drink to a potential card of the year candidate, UFC 239 on International Fight Week. I got my notes here. I got to skip all the prelims. I don't know if I got time. I took way more notes this time. I'm trying to get better at this whole review thing. But the first fight, Diego Nightmare Sanchez versus Michael Chiesa. And I am guilty of shitting on Diego. I didn't think he'd beat, I forget the guy he fought 2 fights ago. I didn't think he'd beat Gall. I was wrong. Diego looked like he was on a career resurgence, but he's a small, doesn't really cut weight welterweight, and he's fighting Michael Chiesa, who also is an up-jumped lightweight, but Michael Chiesa was quite possibly the largest lightweight in the entire division. That's including Michael Vick, folks, or James Vick, excuse me. So I have on the scorecards 30-25 decision victory for Chiesa, which means that I had 10-8 rounds in all 3 rounds. The judges scored it 30-26 for Chiesa, meaning that Chiesa got round 3 10-8 over Diego Sanchez. Here I have that round 1, Sanchez instantly double leg takedowns Chiesa, but Chiesa basically gets right back up and then judo throws Sanchez. Sanchez gets back up and gets judo throwed again. Pretty much immediately, Chiesa gets him in a body triangle from the backside. He struggles to keep Sanchez down. He keeps getting back up, but the fight stays in the clinch, and Chiesa is clearly way stronger. Round 2, Chiesa instantly gets a rushing body lock takedown. He has very superior jiu-jitsu, which he uses to gain basically mount, or at least side mount. And there's a lot of weird stack positions as Sanchez tries every kind of unorthodox scramble in the book to try to get away from Chiesa's ground and pound, but he's catching punches and elbows. Sanchez actually looks gassed halfway through round 2, which is something you never see from this guy who has infinity cardio. Sanchez tries a leg lock pretty late, but he gets mounted and eventually gets body triangle flattened out and almost choked in round 2. He gets ground and fucking pounded by elbows. Every time Sanchez almost gets an advantageous position, maybe returns to guard and actually gets on top of Chiesa, Chiesa sweeps him like a jiu-jitsu god straight back into an extremely disadvantageous downed position with Chiesa on top of him, just raining death on him. Round 3, Chiesa instantly gets a single leg. He sweeps every single time. Holy shit, I just spilled some wine there. Whoops. I had a bit much of this shit during the fight. But Chiesa sweeped every single time. Sanchez got an advantageous position. Sanchez gets up into the clinch. He keeps getting up every time Chiesa takes him down, but he just gets instantly double-legged back to the ground. Chiesa's clearly so much stronger than him, and by late in round 3, Chiesa almost gets the rear naked choke, but he does not become the first guy to submit the Nightmare, and the Nightmare loses a one-sided brutal decision. Our second fight. I have here early on in my notes, before the start of the fight, quote, "Is Vegas retarded?" See, I have Jan Blachowicz here at a plus 200 underdog against Luke Rockhold at Luke Rockhold's first fight at light heavyweight. Now, Luke Rockhold is such a huge middleweight that he's actually still pretty sizable at light heavyweight. But he's fighting Jan Blachowicz, who is very large. Very, very large for one of the white boys who is still in the light heavyweight division in the top 10. And Jan Blachowicz is a beast, and I don't think Rockhold is going to be able to bully him. So I noticed also that Rockhold has an injured left leg. His good kicking leg has a staph infection along the shin, and he's got a lot of scarring from multiple surgeries. So is his kicking game going to be compromised? Well, round 1 is what I call a kick fest. Both Blachowicz and Rockhold are trading kicks like a motherfucker. Rockhold immediately tries to shoot in for double leg against the cage. He tries to drag him down constantly. No success. He can't seem to overpower Blachowicz, who's too strong and has great takedown defense. Blachowicz appears to be stronger and bigger, and just about every time Rockhold tries to disengage or change his grip in the clinch, he eats an elbow from Blachowicz. In round 2, Blachowicz opens with leg kicks. Rockhold tries to do like a karate-style blitz, just rush in with hooks, rush. It's pretty ineffective, and they end up in the clinch again. But around a minute and a half, 2 minutes in, they separate, and Rockhold has this habit of thinking his kicking game is so good, he's used to being so long, that on his stance, his hands are like below his nipples. They're at least down to here. They're not ever anywhere near his face. So he disengages and thinks he can just lean back, hands down, to kind of maintain his balance and walk away. And Blachowicz has a left hand that goes right across the right side of Rockhold's face. Rockhold spins around, hits the floor. Now Rockhold, the veteran that he is, tucks his chin, doesn't let his head bounce, and gets his hands up like he's about to go, okay, what just hit me? Which way did he go, George? I'm going to, and here comes Rockhold. Boom! Just lays him back down. No, Rockhold. Welcome to the lightweight division, motherfucker. Go to sleep. Early round 2, knockout for Jan Blachowicz. Was Vegas retarded? Well, they had Blachowicz as a 2-1 underdog. And I honestly thought that Blachowicz should have been a slight favorite to win this match. If the fight went to the ground, Blachowicz has, 7 submissions on his record? The guy's got the jiu-jitsu. Blachowicz is known also for knocking dudes out. He's 7-9 on finishes, knockouts to submissions. I don't see anywhere where Rockhold has a kind of 2-1 advantage against this guy, especially when he's giving up size and it's his first fight at lightweight, and Rockhold has a habit of keeping his hands down against a power puncher like Blachowicz. I picked Blachowicz to win this fight by knockout. I was right. Next we have Masvidal versus Askren. All I have written down here is Vegas retarded? Well, Jorge Masvidal was a plus 185 underdog, almost 2-1 again, against undefeated Ben Funky Askren. Who did I pick to win this fight? Masvidal via knockout, but not like this. Askren enters, doesn't look afraid of Masvidal, despite Masvidal threatening to kill him in the ring. And let me tell you, folks, Masvidal almost succeeded in killing Ben Askren in the ring. That's right. 5 seconds. UFC record before Askren even hits the floor. Look, they open up. Masvidal rushes him. Askren goes double leg. Masvidal goes right knee, psych, left knee, bicycle flying knee. Catches Askren right in the side of the jaw. Askren is out instantaneously. Hits the ground stiff like a fucking mummy zombie. And what does Masvidal do? Wham! Wham! Because the referee's on the other side of the ring and the ref's going like, must save Ben Askren's life. And Masvidal's going, die! 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 And finally the ref tackles Masvidal off of Askren. Saves the motherfucker's life. Askren is out. Stone ice cream cold. Frozen. Eyes rolled back. And Askren is not available to have the referee hold his hand, as Masvidal is demonstrated as the fastest KO in history. And Masvidal basically said in his interview with Joe Rogan, Askren talked too much shit. And my mama told me if I don't have anything nice to say, shouldn't say anything at all. I've already said everything I want to say to this guy. And he basically just says, that's it. He wants a title fight. And honestly, as much as of a huge, gigantic Colby Covington fan as I am, and even though Rafael Dos Anjos is also ahead of Masvidal in the rankings, honestly, the guy who should fight Kamaru Usman next, if it's not Colby Covington, fuck Tyron Woodley, it should be Jorge Masvidal. And put Tyron Woodley versus Covington. We'll have that out, and they can face the winner of Masvidal Usman. I think that's what should happen. I'm a big Funky Askren fan, as you know from me saying how much I like Colby Covington. I like the heels. I like the bad guys. I like the shit talkers. A lot of people think Colby Covington is stupid. While I don't think he's necessarily the smartest guy in fighting, Colby Covington knows how to market himself as a heel. The fans hate him, and you better believe people are going to buy the next pay-per-view he's on just to see him get his ass kicked, except for I think Covington can beat Woodley, especially since Usman has broken Woodley's mystique. But now we're on to the co-main event of the evening. And here, Vegas folks was right. Amanda the Lioness Nunes, Super Dyke versus the Preacher's Daughter, Holly Holm. Amanda Nunes in this fight is a minus 400 minus 400 favorite. And all I got to say is, Vegas should have put her up minus 900 or more. Holly Holm, as good as she really is little more than what a lot of people call a gatekeeper or a journeyman guy. The kind of dude who sits around top 8, top 10, top 15. And every time somebody new who's not quite ready shows up, they challenge a person like Holly Holm to fight, and Holly Holm kicks their ass. And then Holly Holm gets a top 5 opponent and gets her ass kicked. It happened with Jermaine Durandamy. It happened with Misha Tate. It happened with Cyborg. Holly Holm has actually lost like 3 or 4 of her last 6 fights, and yet here she is getting another title shot. Here, 3 years later, still running off the cred of exposing Ronda Rousey. The thing is, Nunes also exposed Ronda Rousey in less than a minute. Amanda Nunes is probably the hardest punching female fighter in history. She is one of the fastest, meanest, strongest, smartest women in fighting. Amanda Nunes is the fucking GOAT, folks. And here she proved it. So here I got round 1. Holm looks ready. Holm doesn't look scared. Nunes looks like she's showing up to the fair and smiling like, oh, hey, I'm just going out to see a movie or some shit. It's another day at the office for Amanda Nunes. But the first person to actually get staggered by a shot is Nunes gets walks straight into a hard right jab from Holly Holm. And Nunes responds by backing off and throwing a lot of kicks. Nunes circling a whole bunch. She throws a high kick. Now Holly blocks this, but it bounces her wrist into the head. It's one of those you blocked it, but it still hurts kind of kick. Nunes then trips her with a nice body lock kind of judo reap. But Holly Holm is right back up, and she starts throwing the kind of keep away kicks, teeps, side kicks, leg kicks, oblique kicks to the leg. It actually lands a few of those, but then Nunes backs her off with the right hook. Holly Holm resets, looks to try to throw a left hook, and Nunes throws the right high kick. Pops her right in the fucking jaw, sits Holm down, tries to swarm on her, and I believe it was Herb Dean? I'm sorry I didn't write down who the ref was, but it was kind of an earlier stoppage because she was clearly stunned and knocked down, but she was not unconscious. Nunes had only just jumped on her. There was still a minute to go in the round. Maybe a little bit of an early stoppage for Holmes, but she was clearly very hurt and probably was going to lose before the last minute to go in the round was up. So really, even though I disagree with the stoppage, this was a foregone conclusion. Nunes obliterated her. And holy shit, this video has only been 13 minutes long. Well, that's what first round knockouts will do for you folks. Normally I have to do these reviews in around 30 minutes, but we're already to the main event. The thing is, the main event is a 25-minute, 5-round split decision. John Jones, the minus 550 favorite over the plus 375 underdog Thiago Sledgehammer Santos. This turned out to be good on Vegas's part and might have been fair. A lot of people thought Jones would get him in the first 2. Some people thought Santos would actually upset Jones in 1. This went 5 rounds, and it was mostly John Jones playing the fight very, very safe, as he actually was wise to do so. Give me a minute before we get to this main event. Let me absorb some drugs here. Oh, excuse me. One more. I'm about to tweak my own left knee doing that flying high kick to This one ain't nicotine, folks. Much better. So, round one, we open up with another kick fest, just like Rockhold via Blachowicz. Santos actually staggers John Jones with some leg kicks. Jones and Santos both open up in southpaw. They both switch stance multiple times during this fight. This was a very complex kickboxing match, despite the fans booing due to inactivity through some parts of it, but you'll see that there's reasons why there was some inactivity. Both guys got really badly hurt in the leg department in this match. Both guys needed help to walk away from the octagon after this match, so keep that in mind. But Santos gets first blood with these leg kicks, but Jones immediately stalks forward with forward pressure. Jones is very well aware of his mystique as an unstoppable force and just walks at dudes, usually in southpaw, pawing with his right hand forward, keeping his left hand close to his face. And if somebody moves, usually people will move away from his power hand, in which case he will switch stance and stalk them with the right and the right leg kick, right? He's a very genius switch stance fighter. I'm really surprised more people don't emulate his style. I know there's complexities to it, but at a baseline level, it's very simple. Switching stances repeatedly while forward pressuring, so your opponent, once backed against the cage, can only move right or left. Now, when you switch stances, you can catch with body kicks, leg kicks, and hooks your opponent as he's sweeping left or right? So you switch so your opponent avoids your back power hand. So you're going like this. And as they move away from your power hand, you switch and attack with power. John Jones is a genius at this. And if you think you figured that out, he starts spinning with elbows in the opposite direction to throw you off, or doing spinning back kicks, whoom around straight to the body, which he did a lot. Immediately after Jones catches one of Santos's kicks to the body, he attempts to attack with a spinning elbow that very narrowly misses, like whoosh, across the face of Santos. And then they back off, they're scared of each other, and start a low kick fight that causes massive damage to both guys. Santos almost knocks Jones out multiple times with the right hook from southpaw, just diving in and popping Jones. But Jones gets hit very little, and despite being hit very little or whatever, the dude's got a hell of a chin. So even if you catch him flush, one's not going to do you. And about 10 good flush hooks from Thiago, motherfuck, tied for what, second most knockouts in fucking UFC history or something. I forget what his stats are, but he's got like 11, I believe. I should have wrote that down. He's got a lot of knockouts, and he couldn't pop Jones with multiple good flush hooks. Mostly because he was having to dive in and get past Jones' significant, gigantic reach advantage. 84.5 inches of reach is legendary for a guy who's only 6'4.5" or so. That's the reach of a guy who's around 7 foot. John Jones is an octopus. And other noted octopuses with bizarre, freakish reach, guys like, say, Conor McGregor, are an example of how if a guy knows how to put a punch right on your chin, he doesn't need all the power in the world, doesn't need all the muscle, doesn't need all the weight to knock you the fuck out if he can hit you while you're reaching for him. And Santos almost got caught multiple times in just such a way. So, Jones tries some more spinning hook kick type shit. He tries some flashy shit since Santos is kind of keeping away from him at this point. Now, Santos has suffered an injury in round one that I did not catch in my notes, but becomes apparent later on as I write down more. You'll find about that there in a second. That injury basically may have prevented Santos from winning the title, but you'll find out soon enough. So here we have round two. Thiago clearly has injured his leg on a checked kick. He's in the southpaw stance. He throws a left leg kick. John Jones catches it on the knee. Immediately, Santos starts limping. And if it wasn't clear before that his leg was hurt, it is definitely now. This is early in round 2. This fight goes 5 rounds. And I imagine Santos is going to be out for a while due to this injury, because you'll find out why. But nonetheless, Thiago rushes. Jones avoids, only catches a few glancing blows from these rushing Berserker Muay Thai hooks. And once Santos resets, Jones immediately starts stalking forward pressure. Doesn't have to throw anything, just kind of feints, works his shoulders, lets the opponent know early on, hey, I can jab you from a million miles away. Hey, I can teep kick you from a million miles away. Hey, I can kick your leg from down fucking town. Beware when I move. And Jones works his feint game. And Thiago has to back up against the cage, in which case Jones does, like I explained before, the switch stance, looking to catch you as you're backing away. But Santos tweaks his knee again when throwing a leg kick. This time he just throws a leg kick, which was only partially checked, and he almost falls. Hurts, clearly his left knee here has been tweaked really bad. Jones knocks him down with a body kick, but it was more like as he's moving to his left and gets kicked in the body, his left knee gives out and he tips over. It's not a good sign. It's early in round 2. Clearly his knee is worse when he gets back up, but Thiago Santos rushes again, fearless, lands a left and a right hook and a left high kick that just barely brushes John's chin. Real close, scary calls. The crowd, ooh, multiple times. But Jones backs off, and for the remainder of round 2, throws a lot of stabbing teep kicks. Points of the toes like fucking knives, folks. Start of round 3, Joe Rogan thinks Thiago Santos has a torn ACL in his left knee. I'm inclined to agree after watching this fight, folks. This is brutal. So Thiago Santos almost lands a left high kick straight to Jones's head early. He's narrowly missed multiple left high kicks, again from the southpaw stance, so the left kick is the power kick. He lands some body kicks, but Jones stays patient, and for the first minute and a half or so of round 3, doesn't really throw anything. Santos rushes again, actually punches Jones in the face with 3 hooks, but due to the fact that he has to extend so far to get into Jones's reach, they don't have the power they normally do. Thiago is such a good inside puncher guy. He's used to backing his foes up, but when he is being backed against the cage, suddenly blitzes forward. Jones has a million miles behind him to back up, and believe it, folks, he uses it. And now Jones already has bruises on his lead right knee because he's been splitting time about 70% of the time in southpaw, but switches stances very frequently. Jones actually typically billed as an orthodox fighter, so that lets you know his strategy was to throw a lot of left kicks in this fight, which is why he spent most of the time southpaw. But Jones stays very patient. Santos rushes more. He lands more punches, but Jones knocks him down by stepping in with a rushing Superman-type elbow as Santos is coming in and makes him run straight into it, puts a minor cut in the forehead that doesn't really affect the fight, but it clearly hurt him. Jones tries a flying knee, and despite Jones' extreme height and Santos being like 6'1", Jones actually goes about over Santos, over his fucking head, and only clips the top of his head with his flying knee and falls down. Santos tries to get on top of him. Jones scrambles and is instantly, but like fucking instant transmission, goes from, oh shit, I've flown over your head, landed on the ground against the cage, to I'm in the middle of the octagon and you're trying to advance to catch up with me. Jones scrambles really fucking fast, folks. He's not easy to take down, as you already know. Santos lands a lot more leg kicks, though, and clearly Jones' lead right leg is getting hurt bad. Jones tries switching to orthodox, only to get kicked in his other leg a whole lot. Santos and Jones have a similar game plan of landing lots of leg kicks, and they're hurting the shit out of each other already by the middle of round 3, halfway through this fight. Now, Jones uses a lot of his footwork basically to avoid Santos, because by this point they've exchanged so many leg kicks and Jones has checked so many of the power left leg kicks from Santos in southpaw position that Santos's very injured left leg has kicked the knee of John Jones so many times. And I mean, you guys saw what happens when Anderson Silva's kicking Chris Weidman's knee as hard as he can. This is a dangerous game Santos is playing, and Santos apparently does not feel pain. Joe Rogan has remarked multiple times by this point already that Santos has fallen down by putting lateral movement and weight on his left leg. Going this way, he'll fall. A lot of times when he's throwing his right kick and putting all this weight on his left knee, he falls. But he doesn't wince or attempt to hide his knee all that often from John. Now, he does have the advantage of having his left knee be hurt, and he's in southpaw, meaning that if John wants to throw leg kicks, he's going to be hitting Santos's right leg, which he does a lot, and it does affect Santos. But it's much harder to leg kick his rear power leg when he's in southpaw, and it's his left knee that's injured. Keep that in mind. But Santos lands 4 more leg kicks against John, which is really hurting fucking John by this point. And late in the round, John misses a spinning elbow. Now, at the start of round 4, Jones's left leg is definitely hurt too. Now, as well as his right, Jones has got a very severe bruising to his right leg, and his left leg has been hurt too. So, round 4, Thiago Santos injured, tired. It's the championship round. Starts bull rushing and landing hooks on Jones, but again, they're hooks at the very extreme of his reach. They're just not landing with the power he needs to follow through, if you know what I mean. Once Jones starts to counter, Santos is more respectful and afraid of Jones. And he freezes up and eats leg kicks from Jones, which is bad. The more Santos tries lateral movement when Jones pressures, he's hobbling bad. But he's still leg kicking John, which is starting to hobble John. Jones stays in southpaw despite the injuries to his right leg. And Santos starts actually getting some pressure by feinting at Jones with kicks and then feinting to hook, feinting to rush, and then slowly works in with stutter stepping, staggers, right? The crowd has booed Jones for inactivity because we're more than 3 minutes into round 4. Jones not thrown very much. Now, I gave rounds 1, 2, and 3 to Jones. Now, I believe the commentators at least, and I think some of the judges, gave Santos round 2. I did not. But after Santos avoids some of Jones's attempted answering and pressure with teep kicks and stuff, with about 30 seconds left in the round, Santos hurts himself throwing leg kicks because Jones got a really good check again on that injured left leg that probably has some torn ligaments in the knee. However, due to just landing more shots to the body and to the leg and some of the berserker hook pressure that Santos put on Jones, my first round I gave to Thiago the Hammer Santos. Round 4. Round 5, Joe Rogan, the commentator, is convinced that Thiago Santos has a tear in his left ACL. By the time you watch this video, you might know for sure, if you follow MMA news, whether or not that's true. I'm inclined to agree. He's definitely got some torn ligaments. I don't know which one. Maybe it's his meniscus. Maybe it's his anterior collateral ligament, whatever the fuck ACL stands for. Clearly, he's got a torn ligament. Might have entered the fight with the torn ligament and aggravated it further during the fight. Probably. I would agree with that. But Santos still opens up with body kicks, rushes straight forward. Thiago Santos, if nothing else, is completely fearless. Santos does try some orthodox stance, which exposes his left leg, but allows him to put more pressure into his right leg to rush forward with power right hooks and attempt to knock Jones out. So it's a risky strategy. It exposes his wounded leg, but gives him a fresher leg, because he's been eating kicks to the right leg too, to push off of to throw more power punches, right? So Jones covers up and runs away. About a minute and a half into the round, Santos lands some hooks and some body kicks, a good like 3 or 4 strike combo that actually does catch Jones about as hard as anything else Santos has thrown in the fight. Jones starts working in more of his stompy and hacky sack oblique kicks, lands to the thigh and the body. Jones checks 2 more kicks as Santos returns to southpaw and throws his injured leg, which it's easier to throw an injured leg and kick your opponent than it is to put your weight on that leg to throw your non-injured leg. However, if your opponent puts up his knee for you to kick his fucking knee, it hurts you. And Jones has brutally, right on the knee, checked so many kicks from Santos. Santos is very badly hobbled after each time he attempts this strategy. But he still rushes Jones while Jones is staying safe outside, pawing with his lead right hand and trying to stay way the fuck away from everything. Santos actually lands some more hooks, but even though he's still trying leg kicks because Jones's legs are hurt, he falls while throwing right leg kicks from the orthodox position because he's putting his weight on his very badly injured left leg. And as he throws that right leg, he just tips over because I don't know if he's got adrenaline or the man just doesn't feel pain, but Santos tips over. By the end, the judges score this fight 48-47 Santos, 48-47 Jones, and 48-47 Jones. I scored the fight 48-47 Jones. I may have actually disagreed with literally fucking everybody on which rounds Jones won, but I agree that Jones won this fight. I don't think Santos took more than 2 rounds, and the 2 rounds that I think Santos took were flip a coin. It could have been 50-45 Jones. But Jones played it safe. The crowd booed. He apologized. He said, look, I told everybody I looked past Santos, but really I didn't. He hit me. He pressured me. The man is a black belt in Muay Thai with way more kickboxing experience than me. I had to play it safe. I would have liked to finish him. But look, Jones said repeatedly, oh, I'm looking past Thiago. I don't give a shit about him. But he was lying. He was trolling. He was being a heel. In truth, Jones is a way smarter guy, despite all the stupid shit he does. Jones is a much smarter guy than he lets on. And he probably took Thiago Santos about as seriously as he takes Daniel Cormier in terms of power and skill. He was asked by Joe Rogan, why didn't you take him down? And he just said, look, like, you know, this guy is really legit. I should get some credit for going 5 rounds with a guy with way more kickboxing experience than me, and I kept it on the feet. But it was more like Jones didn't want to get anywhere fucking near him. Jones fought from the out fucking side the entire time on purpose. Because Thiago Santos probably was the biggest knockout threat to Jones since Anthony Rumble Johnson, who he's never fought. So, with the exception of maybe Cormier or Jackson, Jones has not fought a knockout threat like Santos. Santos probably punches harder than anybody John Jones has fought in half a decade, if not 7 or 8, 9, maybe his entire career. 9 years to his entire career. He's fought like Shogun Rua, Jackson, Evans, and then a lot of the guys he's fought are submission guys. Even Belfort, Vitor Belfort, the guy who almost beat him with an armbar, was past the TRT ban, past TRT Vitor. It was not TRT Vitor. He fought like 80% TRT Vitor, but within a year, Vitor was not on elevated testosterone Vitor and started getting beat. So Jones has not really fought a guy who hits as hard as Santos. And Jones might have been lucky that Santos was severely injured and compromised early, or Santos might have knocked him out on one of these rushes. His compromised leg prevented his ability to blitz and run in. So Jones kind of dodged a bullet here, and I cannot at all despite being kind of a Jones hater, since I think he's a juicer, and I think he's an eye poker, and I think he's a cocksucker, and a guy, you know, his hit and runs and his cocaine and drag racing and shit, arrests and shit. I look down on the guy. I either like golden boy faces like Daniel Cormier, or I like Trolly McTroll heels like Askren and Colby Covington. The guys who are actually bad dudes like John Jones, I am very harsh on. But Jones clearly wants to turn his career around. He did not test positive for anything in the lead up to this fight, and I think he barely tested early on in the lead up to Gustafsson fight with the picogram shit. I don't know. But Jones looked ripped, looked shredded, didn't test positive for anything yet. We'll see. Took his opponent very seriously. This is his third fight in 7 months. He won this fight. He dominated Gustafsson. He beat the shit out of the guy before him, whose name escapes me at the moment because I've had too much wine. Correct me in the comments. The thing is, Jones is still the GOAT, folks. He's still the GOAT. He still kicks people's ass. And he doesn't take risks. And you might, as a fan, want to see a champion who takes risks. But if Jones really wanted to win this fight against Thiago Santos, I could not possibly have anything negative to say about his game plan. Was it Mike Winkeljohn is his head coach? The guy is a genius, second only to maybe Firas Zahabi, the guy who trained George Rush St. Pierre. For tactical genius. Jones owes a lot of his innate intelligence as absorbed from the genius of Mike Winkeljohn. Mike Winkeljohn is one of the smartest game planners in MMA history. Him and Greg Jackson, the Jackson Wink Gym, they're geniuses. They promote and create fucking killers. And they can take a physically talented idiot and be the brain for that idiot. See Mike Perry. Really, John Jones is probably not going to lose that title for a long time. Right now, the only threat I see to John is probably who's going to see him next in the octagon, Jan Blachowicz. And Jan Blachowicz' chances at this point look bleak. I can't fault Johns for not having the balls to go up to heavyweight when there probably is literally nobody in the top 10 at light heavyweight who can touch him. So thanks everybody for watching probably one of my longest YouTube videos of all time, but this is one of the best cards I've ever seen. I don't know if it's the best, but it's top 3. I screamed at the top of my lungs at Jorge Masvidal's probably greatest knockout in MMA fucking history over Ben Askren. Nunes' knockout of Holmes, and I know I didn't talk about the prelims, but there was multiple first-round finishes in the prelims, even the prelims, with all these fighters whose names I can't remember because I've only even maybe seen them fight twice in my life, if that. And there were killers, some guy from China named like Du Yang or something. You know what I mean? There's too much to talk about here. 40 minutes almost just on the main card. It's rough. But from early prelims to the main card to the main events, this is one of the best fights of the past 5 years. I've reviewed better fights than better cards, than this card on this channel, but this one is up there. I cannot recommend enough paying for it. Now, I got to mention here at the end, and I meant to mention this at the beginning, but I'm maybe glad I didn't because it's kind of bitching. This was the first pay-per-view where it's like you have to have ESPN Plus to order it. I had to be like on call with ESPN Plus provider working on a technical issue to be able to watch this on my television instead of my phone for 50 minutes. And the idiot Indian on the other line, end of the line of the tech support line couldn't help me. I ended up finding out that I had the wrong email sign up. I'm used to just on mobile going through my cable and mobile provider to access ESPN Plus on mobile. and I never tried to put it on an Amazon Fire Stick, which is what I would use to watch ESPN Plus through the ESPN app on Amazon, you blah, 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 fucking blah, on the television, and I had to sign in to ESPN on there through my provider, but I had to sign in through an email I'd completely forgotten about to ESPN.com to get a code from the television to sign in on my phone, to sign in and enter that code, then to sign back in as my ESPN account on the TV, and then sign back into the provider to tell the provider account on the fucking Fire Stick that I have ESPN Plus paid subscription, only $5 per month. I recommend it. It's worth it. To fucking watch the pay-per-view, which was another $60 fucking dollars, which I had to pay for and then figure out and make sure I could watch on the Fire Stick. And then that's why I got the footage to put in this video, blah, 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 blah. And last thing is I watched maybe 30% of this entire card in 480p quality to 720 here or there. I would say maybe 2/3 of the card actually remained in 1080p high definition, watching through the Fire Stick, right next to my wireless router. My internet's not the best. It should be able to run 1080p the entirety of the event. The event was maybe only 55 to 60% in 1080p. That pissed me off, but at no point did the signal drop. At no point did the app crash or anything. So previously I've watched an ESPN event on the PS4 PSN Live. I will never do that again. It crashed 4 times. I missed an entire fight when Anthony Johnson knocked out Glover Teixeira way back when. I think this was 2016. And it pissed me off. So I never ever want to watch UFC pay-per-views on the internet. I had to. I was forced to watch through the ESPN Plus app to watch this. You could not order this pay-per-view through just standard pay-per-view because the UFC is putting all of their weight and betting the farm on ESPN, on their ESPN Plus. And I have found it worth it to pay $5 to watch ESPN Plus all the fight nights and shit. But this experience of having to try to figure out how to order a $50 pay-per-view on a television instead of just watching Fight Night on my phone was an extremely miserable, low-quality experience, and I fucking condemn both the UFC and ESPN and Amazon, who's possibly responsible for part of this, for the quality of the experience. It sucked dick. I hate it. I would rather just pay for a pay-per-view. I'd rather just be able to watch on ESPN, but everything's subscription-based, money-grubbing, fuck you. But it's just the nature of the game, folks. So here, longest video ever. Thanks for sticking with me. I have a love-hate relationship with ESPN Plus. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's not the worst experience in the world, but it's lower quality than just being able to watch on a fucking television channel. UFC is one of the few things I actually watch on television because of technical problems with the live event, which can arise from having to watch shit online, watch shit through a wireless device. And it negatively impacted my experience extensively. But ultimately, I had no major drops in service, no crashes, and I figured everything out hours in advance of the pay-per-view. Now, if I tried to order the pay-per-view 15 minutes before it started, I would have been fucked because it took me over 90 minutes to troubleshoot this problem. I hope none of you are idiots like me and had that kind of experience. But overall, card was great. Price was virtually the same. They knocked $5 off to account for my ESPN Plus subscription. Since I already had an ESPN Plus subscription, I didn't go for the deal they had where you could buy a year of ESPN Plus and like a 40% discounted version of the pay-per-view because I already had the fucking goddamn subscription, blah, blah, blah. You see how fucking complicated, tedious, and annoying this is. I'm sorry for bothering you with it, but I guess this is a good reason I saved it at the end of the video, and I'm drunk, so that explains everything. But do I recommend this card? Hell fucking yes. 2 or 3 of the best knockouts of all fucking time happened on this card. Only a few decisions, and despite the fact that there was a lot of no-names on this card, the no-names showed up, kicked fucking ass, and put on great fights. The named people put on great fights. Even Claudia Gadelia's fight was great. Jan Blachowicz proved everybody wrong against an extremely extremely overrated Rockhold, who I thought everybody knew had been exposed by Romero and Bisping. So, anyway, that's the whole thing. Thank you for watching. Sorry for taking so long to go through this, but what are you going to do?